Hey folks, I'm Glenn.
I'm Maureen.
And today it's chickens.
Versus rabbits.
Or is it rabbits versus
chickens.
I don't know. You ever seen a rabbit lay an egg? Rabbits versus chickens. We have been thinking over the last year or so, and Marie's done a lot of research and so forth. And we've been wondering, should we have chickens or should we have the rabbits? And there's a few pros and cons with each. One of the criteria that we were looking at was the type of meat, because our intention would be to raise them for meat. However, with chickens, you also get eggs. So lots of protein.
There's different things like the housing. What type of housing do you have to set up for them? What's the outlay at the beginning for them? How much? So which one would be easier and fit more into our homestead? That was one of the other things that we looked at. Pros with the chickens, like Glenn said, we get eggs while we're growing the chickens to be meat chickens. The pros with the rabbits as far as their meat is that they're quick to mature for the meat, so you don't have them very long. But at the beginning, there's more outlay for rabbits, I think, than what there is for chickens.
Rabbits, you certainly can breed them, and well, you can with the chickens too, right? But which one is less hassle for our purposes? How much time does it take? I wonder which one takes more food, to feed them until they're ready to harvest.
There's a lot of things to consider when trying to decide which is going to be the best as far as cost effectiveness in raising a meat animal or bird.
Like meat animal, like us, like the mosquitoes are eating us alive. Do chickens eat mosquitoes? I hope so.
I hope so.
These mosquitoes are so bad. Let's go back. Let's get a fire going. And a little smudge fire. Maybe we can get away from these mosquitoes. Some of that smoke around. Get rid of them mosquitoes.
It's working.
So, pros and cons.
With the chickens, you can build one coop and house many chickens all together and have a run that you can have them all share. Or you can free range chickens too and just have them go about on your property and they'll go back in to roost in the chicken coop at night.
But you can't free range rabbits the same way?
Well, they'll take off. Rabbits won't come back as well as what the chickens do. Chickens, as part of their safety, they go up to roost, so they'll go up in their coop. The rabbits will just take off, and I'm not sure if they'll come home or not.
Yeah. So maybe it's cheaper perhaps to feed chickens, and as far as harvest goes, how that works, the food you put into it and the per pound that you get back out of it. Chickens compared to rabbits.
It all depends. A lot of people with the rabbits, if you can have a rabbit tractor, and because they feed on mostly hay and the grasses and that, you could actually just feed them off of your ground as opposed to having to invest in food. So it all depends on the person and how we're going to raise it. Like we would be able to have them in tractors and just go around.
On a tractor, like a farm tractor?
Well, no, it looks like a cage on wheels, the rabbit tractor.
Okay. Something you cart them around with.
Yeah. The chickens will cost more than the rabbits because you'll need to get more food because the chickens require protein for the eggs, to make the eggs. So there's more involved in feeding the chickens than the rabbits.
But with the chickens, you get daily protein by collecting the eggs every day. So you get little gifts.
Yes.
So
they feed you on the way to they're growing to a full size.
Rabbits are so cute and cuddly.
They are. Well, so are chickens. I think rabbits are more cuddly though. And with rabbits, you need the cages. So on your beginning investment for rabbits, you have to buy cages for each of them. And then once the babies get older, they can all go together in what they call the rabbit tractor to go around and feed. But they still have their own cages. So there's all that cost. Plus you have to get a building to put them in or some kind of a cover to keep them out of the weather and the wind.
Do you have to worry or be concerned with their health, maintenance and that kind of a thing? A regime, is one harder to take care of than the other as far as that goes? You know?
Well, with rabbits, when they're kept in cages, the cages are typically off of the ground, so they don't get exposure to some of the bacteria and viruses that could be naturally in the dirt. There's more chance of the chickens getting diseases and bacteria because of scratching up on the ground. One advantage to chickens is your startup costs can be a lot less for the birds because you can buy day olds from the hatchery and then bring them home and raise them until they're ready to harvest them. Then you can decide, do you want to continue having chickens and get more day olds from the hatchery again, or do you want to take a break from the chickens? But when you get rabbits, you have to buy a buck and a doe, and they recommend getting 1 buck and 2 does and breed those to get your kits. Well, once the babies are grown and they're able to be harvested, you still have the parents that you have to take care of.
So after you get a buck, you'll be rolling in does.
Okay.
If you sell them.
So there's that, the how much time investment do you want with the animals? Because with birds, with chickens, if you could raise enough, say, for a year's worth of chicken and then can it or freeze it, then you could do one time of taking care of the birds for a few months and then take a rest for a while. So you're not tied to the homestead for the animals.
Mosquitoes are a lot less now, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
being
you.
by the fire really helps.
With chicks, you need to keep them warm while they're growing up. So you need to have a heat lamp or a heater pad in order to keep them warm enough, especially if you're buying them from a hatchery. Where with rabbit kits, their mom keeps them warm and keeps them in their nest until they're old enough to go out on their own. So you don't have that extra expense of the heating for the rabbits as what you have for the chickens.
Mm-hmm. What about from a business standpoint, that perhaps selling the young ones, is that something that's viable, and for which would it be more viable, do you think?
I think it's more viable with the chickens because you can sell their eggs, right? With the rabbits, yeah, you can sell the rabbits, but from what I've seen as far as popularity of rabbits for sale, it's usually around Easter or maybe
They're cute and cuddly.
cute and cuddly, and maybe a few other times through the year. But how many times when driving down the road do you see a sign, fresh eggs for sale, right? So there's more opportunity to sell the eggs.
Yeah, you don't see fresh rabbits for sale as often.
As often. Now you're asking about the entrepreneurship aspect of raising chickens or rabbits. If someone wanted to raise them to sell their meat, the rabbit meat or the chicken meat, then you'd have to look into the regulations in your area to find out what you need to do, and the health regulations and the farming regulations.
Right.
For us, we just want them for ourselves, so we don't need to worry about going that route. But to sell the chicken eggs at the end of the driveway, that's okay.
Right. Well, I think for me personally, it would be the taste of the product. So there are lots of pros and cons there. If you have some pros and cons you'd like to share with us and our viewers, by all means, post those, and we'll share with you what we have decided, whether it's going to be chickens or rabbits. Oh, and we also have an update coming up from around the homestead and the off-grid cabin. Stay tuned. In the next video, we'll let you know chickens or rabbits and an update. That's all for now. I'm Glenn.
I'm Maureen.
See you next time. Over and out.
Take care.